Amid the chaos of the retreat, Lieutenant Henry and his men are exhausted, but they're still on a mission to get to Udine. They picked up 2 sergeants and 2 young girls. They scavenged through an abandoned farmhouse and found food, all the while under the threat of incoming enemy fire and capture. My name is Trisha Slabizio. I'm still your host for Tea and Bedtime Stories. In this episode, we'll continue reading Ernest Hemingway's novel, A Farewell to Arms. It's been a minute, but last time we read and discussed chapter 28 of book 3, and now we'll continue the story with chapter 29. After the reading, I'll follow up with quick facts and my impressions, so let's begin reading chapter 29. At noon, we were stuck in a muddy road about as nearly as we could figure 10 kilometers from Udine. The rain had stopped during the forenoon, and 3 times we had heard planes coming, seen them pass overhead, watched them go far to the left, and heard them bombing on the main high road. We had worked through a network of secondary roads and had taken many roads that were blind, but had always, by backing up and finding another road, gotten closer to Udine. Now, Imo's car, in backing so that we might get out of a blind road, had gotten into soft earth at the side, and the wheels, spinning, had dug deeper and deeper until the car rested on its differential. The thing to do now was to dig out in front of the wheels, put in brush so that the chains could grip, and then push until the car was on the road. We were all down on the road around the car. The 2 sergeants looked at the car and examined the wheels. Then they started off down the road without a word. I went after them. "Come on," I said. "Cut some brush." "We have to go," one said. "Get busy," I said, "and cut brush." "We have to go," one said. The other said nothing. They were in a hurry to start. They would not look at me. "I order you to come back to the car and cut brush," I said. The one sergeant turned. "We have to go on. In a little while we will be cut off. You can't order us. You're not our officer." "I order you to cut brush," I said. They turned and started down the road. "Halt," I said. They kept on down the muddy road, the hedge on either side. "I order you to halt," I called. They went a little farther. I opened up my holster, took the pistol, aimed at the one who had talked the most, and fired. I missed, and they both started to run. I shot 3 times and dropped one. The other went through the hedge and was out of sight. I fired at him through the hedge as he ran across the field. The pistol clicked empty, and I put in another clip. I saw it was too far to shoot at the second sergeant. He was far across the field, running, his head held low. I commenced to reload the empty clip. Bonello came up. "Let me go finish him," he said. I handed him the pistol, and he walked down to where the sergeant of engineers lay face down across the road. Bonello leaned over, put the pistol against the man's head, and pulled the trigger. The pistol did not fire. "You have to cock it," I said. He cocked it and fired twice, and took hold of the sergeant's legs and pulled him to the side of the road so that he lay beside the hedge. He came back and handed me the pistol. "The son of a bitch," he said. He looked towards the sergeant. "You see me shoot him, Tenente." "We've got to get the brush quickly," I said. "Did I hit the other one at all?" "I don't think so," Imo said. "He was too far away to hit with the pistol." "The dirty scum," Piani said. We were all cutting twigs and branches, everything that had been taken out of the car. Bonello was digging out front of the wheels. When we were ready, Imo started the car and put it into gear. The wheels spun around, throwing brush and mud. Bonello and I pushed until we could feel our joints crack. The car would not move. "Rock her back and forth, Barto," I said. He drove, the engine in reverse, then forward. The wheels only dug in deeper. Then the car was resting on the differential again, and the wheels spun freely in the holes they had dug. I straightened up. We'll try her with a rope, I said. I don't think it's any use, Tenente. You can't get a straight pull. We have to try it, I said. She won't come out any other way. Piani and Bonella's cars could only move straight ahead down the narrow road. We roped both cars together and pulled. The wheels only pulled sideways against the ruts. It's no good, I shouted. Stop it. Piani and Bonello got down from their cars and came back. Imo got down. The girls were up the road about 40 yards sitting on a stone wall. What do you say, Tenente? Bonello asked. We'll dig out and try once more with the brush, I said. I looked down the road. It was my fault. I had led them up here. The sun was almost out from behind the clouds, and the body of the sergeant lay beside the hedge. We'll put his coat and cape under, I said. Bonello went to get them. I cut brush, and Imo and Piani dug out in front and between the wheels. I cut the cape and then ripped it in two and laid it under the wheel in the mud, then piled brush for the two wheels to catch. We were ready to start, and Imo got up on the seat and started the car. The wheels spun and we pushed and pushed, but it wasn't any use. It's effed, I said. Is there anything you want in the car, Berto? Imo climbed up with Bonello, carrying the cheese and 2 bottles of wine in his cape. Bonello, sitting behind the wheel, was looking through the pockets of the sergeant's coat. Better throw the coat away, I said. What about Barta's virgins? They can get in the back, Piani said. I don't think we're going far. I opened the back door of the ambulance. Come on, I said. Get in. The 2 girls climbed in and sat in the corner. They seemed to have taken no notice of the shooting. I looked back up the road. The sergeant lay in his dirty, long-sleeved underwear. I got up with Piani and we started. We were going to try to cross the field. When the road entered the field, I got down and walked ahead. If we could get across, there was a road on the other side. We could not get across. It was too soft and muddy for the cars. When they were finally and completely stalled, the wheels dug into the hubs, we left them in the field and started on foot for Udine. When we came to the road, which had led back toward the main highway, I pointed down it to the 2 girls. Go down there, I said. You'll meet people. They looked at me. I took out my pocketbook and gave them each a 10-liter note. Go down there, I said, pointing. Friends, family. They did not understand, but they held the money tightly and started down the road. They looked back as though they were afraid I might take the money back. I watched them go down the road, their shawls close around them, looking back apprehensively at us. The 3 drivers were laughing. How much will you give me to go in that direction? Tenente Bonello asked. They're better off in a bunch of people than alone if they catch them, I said. Give me 200 lire and I'll walk straight back toward Austria, Bonello said. They'd take it away from you, Piani said. Maybe the war will be over, Imo said. We were going up the road as fast as we could. The sun was trying to come through. Beside the road there were mulberry trees. Through the trees I could see our 2 big moving vans of cars stuck in the field. Piani looked back too. They'll have to build a road to get them out, he said. I wish to Christ we had bicycles, Bonello said. Do they ride bicycles in America? Imo asked. They used to. Here it is a great thing, Imo said. A bicycle is a splendid thing. I wish to Christ we had bicycles, Bonello said. I am no walker. Is that firing? I asked. I thought I could hear firing a long way away. I don't know, Imo said. He listened. I think so, I said. The first thing we'll see will be the cavalry, Piani said. I don't think they've got any cavalry. I hope to Christ not, Bonello said. I don't want to be stuck on a lance by any bleak cavalry. You certainly shot that sergeant, Tenente, Piani said. We were walking fast. I killed him, Bonello said. I never killed anybody in this war, and all my life I've wanted to kill a sergeant. You killed him on the sit, all right, Piani said. He wasn't flying very fast when you killed him. Never mind, that's one thing I can always remember. I killed that bleep of a sergeant. What will you say in confession? Imo asked. I'll say, bless me, father, I killed a sergeant. They all laughed. He's an anarchist, Piani said. He doesn't go to church. Piani's an anarchist too, Bonella said. Are you really an anarchist? I asked. No, Tenente, we're socialists. We come from Imola. Haven't you ever been there? No. By Christ, it's a fine place, Tenente. You come there after the war, we'll show you something. Are you all socialists? Everybody. Is it a fine town? Wonderful. You never saw a town like that. How did you get to be socialist? We're all socialist. Everybody's a socialist. We have always been socialist. You come, Tenente. We'll make you a socialist too. Ahead the road turned off to the left, and there was a little hill, and beyond the stone wall an apple orchard. As the road went uphill, they ceased talking. We walked along together, all going fast against time. That's the end of chapter 29 of book 3. So a few quick facts and then my impressions. Just for reference, 10 kilometers is a little over 6 miles. So when they got stuck, they were about 6 miles away from the town Udine in northern Italy. If you remember, Udine is the town where the royal palace residence is located, where the little short king lives. And if you remember at the start of the novel, it was where the story began. And again, the differential is just the gear system that regulates the rate of spin for each one of the wheels when you're turning. And Imola, I guess, is another little small town in the Emilia-Romagna region of northern Italy. I hope I said that right. Emilia-Romagna. I don't know. Well, my impressions, they say true character shows in the face of adversity, and Henry's decision to take life indiscriminately says a lot about him. I mean, we knew he was immature, inexperienced, impulsive, but now we know he's also immoral and, as always, way in over his head. He does not know what he is doing. And he's not qualified to be a leader. And unfortunately, most of the responsibility for his actions would rest with the people who put his ignorant ass in a position of power without any real leadership training. That's my assessment. And the one who was killed wasn't wrong when he said, you can't order us. You're not our officer. There is a principle called unity of command, which directs that orders should come through the primary CO for each battalion. So if you're not part of that battalion, you can't really order someone. You have to go through their commanding officer. And so they were not really obligated to obey any of his orders. And they clearly had no respect for his authority, right? He fully admits that he was the one that led them down the wrong path several times, proving their suspicions about his incompetence. He had no authority over them, no influence over them, and so he just decided to commit murder, and attempted murder. I guess he figured that was the solution to his problem. Not a great choice. And if you analyze military operations failures, there's clear patterns of behavior that emerge. Like the commanders are not usually seen as genuine leaders, or they just don't possess good decision-making capabilities. So their qualifications to lead groups successfully are abysmal, if they exist at all. They're just authority figures by their position or their title, not their qualifications or merit. So, and if you remember several chapters back, when they were when he was talking to his comrades in Gorizia, they were discussing the failures of the Battle of Caporetto, and they were specifically criticizing General Cordona for his... Was he a general? I don't know. He was the commander of the Italian army, Cardona. And he had made really bad decisions that led to so many deaths and subsequent desertions. And no one respected Cadorna's commands because he proved that he didn't know what the F he was doing repeatedly. Just like the hero of this particular story is demonstrating repeatedly, he doesn't know what he's doing. And if you recall, Luigi Cordona's brilliant solution to opposition was to have the Carabinieri stand in the trenches and shoot anyone who refused to follow his nonsensical orders. So whatever move they made would mean certain death. If they went over the top, they would probably get killed. If they stood there, they would get killed by the cops. So they were damned if they did or damned if they didn't. It was just pure evil. And the Battle of Caporetto, which was led by Luigi Cardona, is still classified as one of the worst battles in Italian history. And so ironically, this chapter kind of serves as an examination of the decision-making or lack thereof processes, right? The decision-making processes that played out in that horrific scene. This is just done on a micro example level. So he decides to shoot the deserters in the same dramatic way that the Carabinieri shot soldiers in the trenches. And by shooting those men, they weren't championing some noble cause. They just did whatever suited their interest in that moment without giving it a second thought to right or wrong. And it's just so, I don't know, so foolish that they would criticize that decision and then turn around and make the same one. And it demonstrates, how fallible humans are. We think we're so great, or we like to think of ourselves as, so moral and so righteous, and we're so not, right? One of the most common logical fallacies that humans commit is the false attribution error, where we kind of make excuses for our own bad behavior, but we will simultaneously assassinate another person's character for making the exact same choice. It's completely hypocritical, and worse, it's really unethical and immoral. But they immediately excuse their actions with their gross rationalizations, and what makes their groupthink insanity even more problematic is when, I think it was Bonello who admitted, I'll happily desert if you give me 200 lira. I'll follow the little virgin girls down the road for $200. They just killed a man for deserting, and then a moment later admitted that they would have done the same thing. I don't know. The biggest tragedy of war is that we have children fight them. Children in the sense that these are not mature, seasoned soldiers. They're immature, inexperienced, impulsive, young men. Adolescents, basically, in their thinking in every other respect other than maybe their age. They're not wise, they're not weathered, and they're not capable of strong moral self-direction. They're toy soldiers playing with real weapons, and real consequences ensue. But to be fair, right, they are under tremendous amount of stress. The planes were flying over. They could hear the bombing of the retreating hordes. The enemy was closing in on their position. They knew that. And they were only a few miles from safety. But regardless, they did commit cold-blooded murder, and they should be condemned for it. So our hero in the story is not really a hero. But the real tragedy of this chapter, I think, is knowing that any one of us, if we were truly honest with ourselves, would have to admit we would have done the same thing if we were in the same situation. Right? When ego takes over, we are all capable of committing evil acts for no good reason. which is why I think we have to try so hard to be moral and uncorrupt, because it's always right there looming. Those bad decisions are always waiting to be made. The struggle is definitely real. Anyway, back to my impressions. I really kind of hate how they characterize every female by their sexual availability. In the last chapter, they were talking about the two young girls and the fact that they were virgins and how they characterized them in the story, and how they characterize every female. It's, again, shows a lot of immaturity. And I think the story gives us such a clear indication of how Hemingway thought as a man, and it does shed a lot of light on his psychology. I mean, he was a mess, but he was a human. And it's really, really interesting because all of his thoughts really inform his behavior. And men who think a certain way act a certain way. And this just shows, like, why he was such a controversial figure, why this book was so frustrating for a lot of people, so hard for so many people to digest, because, like, people either revere him as an author or they revile him as a human being. But he was just a human being in every way, shape, and form. And I think his work kind of forces us to face the parts of ourselves that we try so hard to hide. Anyway, that's all I have for chapter 29 of book 3. In the next episode, we'll pick up with chapter 30 of A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. Please join me again for more tea and bedtime stories. I really look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks for listening.